Hey guys, Rob here with McDojoLife. In today's McDojo Breakdown, we're going to talk about how a polygamist, flat earther apostle says that he received his black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu from God. Let's check out the story. This is Tyrion Scott, and he's the founder of something called Seminary Jujitsu. That's right, seminary, as in a college that trains its students to be priests, rabbis, and ministers.
Holy, holy, holy.
But we'll dig into that a little bit more in a bit. Now, last year on January 22nd, he promoted 2 of his students with stripes on their brown belt. Usually, there'd be nothing strange about that except for the fact that he himself is a brown belt. Not only a brown belt, but a lower ranking brown belt than they are. Now, you're probably asking yourself the same thing I asked myself. What is his possible reasoning behind doing this? Well, according to the Facebook post that he made about this, he stated the following. It was an interesting time in my BJJ. I am promoting my students above me informally, but formally I am their instructor. This is not my fault because I don't promote myself. In truth, I should have been a black belt in BJJ 3 years ago, which that would make me a black belt first degree. Most people think BJJ black belts can't get things wrong, but here's a picture to prove it. Why am I striping students brown belts while I am still a brown belt? Great question. I made a promise to be just and timely to them based upon a BJJ curriculum, not just time. The curriculum mostly drives promotions for me, not time. Show me what you know, and I will give you the credit. Christina Jackson Scott and Kate Allen Scott are understanding my curriculum. They will be black belts delivered on time even if they get it before me. I might just become the first BJJ brown belt to informally award 2 BJJ black belts. This will most likely not happen because they are in good hands with the USJJF. We have done more in BJJ than most current BJJ black belts, and that's no lie. Wow, that's a lot to dissect. They will be black belts delivered on time? You can just go to Century Martial Arts and pull up what they have there, and I'm sure they'll deliver you whatever you want, wherever, in a timely manner. Doesn't mean you earned it. But wait a minute. Did you notice the students' names? Christina Jackson Scott and Kate Allen Scott. Why does that sound so familiar? That's right, you guessed it. They have the same names because, yes, they are in fact his wives.
This season on Sister Wives.
And if you're thinking to yourself, boy, I can't wait to be subservient to that guy. Well, luckily you're in luck because he's looking for a third wife to do his bidding and be subservient underneath him. Still looking, by the way, so try your luck. But I digress. Him giving them a promotion on their brown belt while he is a brown belt is pretty strange. But it gets stranger. 2 weeks after he gave them a stripe on their brown belts, he literally promotes them to black belt.
I am going to be awarding my brown belts their black belts. So, well done. Oh yeah.
But wait, there's more.
Today, we're going to honor Tyrion Scott for his accomplishments in the development of our jiu-jitsu and also others. So Tyrion, step on up.
That's right, they turned around and promoted him to his black belt after he promoted them to their black belt.
That's not how it works. That's not how any of this works.
But we continue down that rabbit hole because guess what? He says that the wives aren't who gave him his black belt, but God. Let's check out just a few of his quotes saying so. My black belt is ordained of God. All praises to God for being my true lineage in BJJ. My black belt is recorded up in heaven. First degree black belt. What God has authorized, don't put asunder and don't fight him. Who made me a black belt? The Lord Jesus Christ. I heard the voice of God tell me that I was a black belt.
Stop! Blasphemer!
Side note, this guy is also a flat earther. It's like all over his Facebook page. I don't know exactly how that's relevant here, but it just feels like something that we should mention. But I digress. God apparently has also told him to start his own Seminary Jujitsu program. Hence the name Seminary Jujitsu. We're not just talking about him just teaching Jiu-Jitsu, by the way. We're talking about an entire new belt structure, an entire new hierarchy system, and of course, being allowed to speak in tongues while you're doing Jiu-Jitsu. After taking the time to read literally every one of his Facebook posts that he's made since back then, and taking the time to read through some of his thoughts on jiu-jitsu, some of his thoughts on how he feels that he was robbed and inconvenienced and even slighted when it comes to his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, it's interesting because it made me start to think something, and maybe I'm just spitballing here, but hear me out. Maybe God didn't actually give him his black belt. Maybe his ego got the better of him, and he couldn't stand the fact that there were people higher rank above him that he felt he was better than. Maybe his wives didn't actually earn their black belts, but just received it from somebody who's a crazy person. Maybe he's just a narcissistic douchebag who couldn't wait patiently to receive his black belt, and he's mad because he didn't get what he wanted when he wanted it. Who knows? But one thing we do know for sure is this isn't the first time something like this has come up. Let's take it back a few years, all the way back to 2016, when a purple belt by the name of Joe McCaffrey decided that he was going to promote himself to brown belt. Cue the flashback.
Okay, very quickly. Today's October 31st. I was planning on doing this tomorrow morning, and what I'm doing today is I am advancing myself in rank. The reason I started my own school was because I did not like what I saw. I did not like, forgive the term, but the Brazilian priesthood, the Brazilian hierarchy, and so I started an academy where not only would I recognize myself and my achievements or efforts, but all of us would. Okay, so no longer are you in a place where another man will evaluate. Okay, now I won't be placing a belt on you. If you stay long enough to be ranked, you will place your own belt on you. The young men who promoted me earlier on when I was training under them were children when I began training in Jiu-Jitsu. And I soon learned after training under them that they were not men of great character. So when I started my own school and I searched around for other men that I perhaps could train with, unfortunately I found none. I found that I was in academies where other men's pictures were on the wall. And these were men of Brazilian descent who were Jiu-Jitsu heroes, I guess, but they weren't the men who were my heroes. Okay, so today I'm going to make that statement. I'm going to take this belt off that was placed on me by another. That will never happen again. I'm going to place this belt on. Now, in case anybody's wondering about whether or not you can just go out to the store and buy a belt, okay, and step on the mat. Okay, the one thing about Jiu-Jitsu is it's about truth. All right, you cannot put a black belt, a blue belt on, a brown belt, or anything else and step on the mat and not expect yourself to be revealed.
It's quite clear that both of these guys were too egotistical to wait patiently. By the way, patience is a part of martial arts. Maybe they should learn it. And then they decided that instead of waiting patiently, they wanted what they wanted when they wanted it. And if they didn't get it, they're going to throw a fit and they're going to do it themselves.
But I want it now!
But with that said, maybe there's something in this dialogue that should be discussed that continuously is just kind of being passed over. Is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in itself too loose on what the standards are for what should be considered a black belt? Maybe there's a lot kind of left up in the air. Maybe it should be a little bit more structured so that way you know exactly what's required of you in order to receive a promotion. I think that we should look over these things and discuss them. I don't think that they should be just passed over. So that brings us to the real question in all of this. Should we just do things the way they've always been done because that's the way they've always been done? It's time to rank this guy. As most of you know, I typically use the Dillman scale when we're dealing with martial arts frauds and con artists, but for this particular one, this feels a little bit more like a Frank Dukes to me. So let's give this guy some Dukes. Personally, I'm giving this guy 2 out of 5 Frank Dukes. He did do Jiu-Jitsu. He did spend quite a lot of time in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and was underneath a legitimate black belt when he was promoted to his brown belt. So he made it all the way through. He was like the guy who quit high school right before graduation. You just had to wait that much longer, but he just couldn't take it. Now, the man himself does believe some crazy stuff, so maybe I need to rethink this a little bit because now that I'm thinking about it, it does seem like he might be starting his own cult. So let's add another one. The main issue I have here, obviously, the main one, is the fact that this guy is self-promoting and is promoting people to ranks that they don't deserve. If he wanted to just promote people in his own martial arts style, who cares? But he consistently, in his Facebook page, talks about how he is a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He talks about it a lot, even though he himself has not actually received that in the way that it's supposed to be received. Also, he promoted 2 other people under that same falsehood. And he calls them Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belts as well when they also did not earn that rank. It's wild. But I'm curious what you guys have to say about this in the comment sections below, which brings us to the question of the day. Do you feel like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu needs more structure? Or do you find that the lack of structure is a good thing? Curious your thoughts. So when you leave your comment in the comment section so that way I know you watched the entire video, be sure to answer that question. As always, thank you all for the likes, comments, shares, subscriptions, and memberships. Keep the martial arts legit.
Things just haven't been the same. Living strange since my baby joined that dojo. Joined a McDojo. Now she tries to